Welcome to the HR Data Labs podcast, now part of the Work-Defined Podcast Network. Join us as we explore the vital role of compensation, strategy, data, and people analytics in navigating today's complex business world. With the resources of Work-Defined, we're bringing you deeper insights and actionable ideas from top HR experts. Now, here are your hosts, David Turetsky and Dwight Brown. Hello, and welcome to the HR Data Labs podcast. I am your co-host alongside my best friend, partner in crime, and co-host of the HR Data Labs podcast, Dwight Brown. Dwight, how are you?
David, I am distracted with, we were just talking about all our ADD keeping us distracted.
Yes, today's podcast
that pretty
will be
much describes my day. Yeah, exactly.
Well, today, Dwight, we have with us one of our brethren from the Work-Defined Podcast Network, Bob Pulver from Elevate Your AIQ. Bob, how art thou?
I am doing well, David. Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, it is definitely our pleasure. You are definitely one of us, especially if you haven't hung up by now.
You just can't find the leave button.
Yes, where's the darn leave? Oh, no. Well, he does Riverside as well, so he should definitely know where that is.
I do.
Bob, why don't you give us a little bit about your background and how you got to this moment in time?
Yeah, absolutely. So I spent over, just about 25 years at large enterprise organizations where I did a lot of different things. At IBM, I probably had at least 12 different jobs in my 22 years there. And a lot of that was around sort of pre-sales, consulting, connecting C-suite leaders to IBM research. So not just, what can we sell you today, but what can we help you plan for tomorrow? And so that got me into sort of crash courses on a lot of the technologies that we see today, including AI, including advanced analytics, the advent of big data, social analytics and social listening. But aside from that, I, started my career doing like process re-engineering work, some product development, some market intelligence, and then some official consulting, which did not go nearly as planned. And then finally just doing like innovation management. I guess some of that was extracurricular throughout the course of my tenure there. But that was one of the reasons why I took a role at NBC Universal and worked in the CIO's office, trying to help them with their portfolio modernization, automation strategy. And that's where I started to get this bug around talent and what we were doing or not doing in terms of internal mobility and really understanding the skills that people had available. Could they be reskilled if we automated, a lot of their tasks? Could they go and do something else?
Right.
And so when I left there during COVID, I went off on my own and just decided to parlay all that transformation and innovation experience into the talent space, and have been focused on, lately, of course, how AI is impacting work and the workforce. Right. And a lot of that is taking a human-centric angle. So under the big tent of responsible AI, which I know we'll get into today. But what does it mean to be responsible in our use and our design of new solutions? And certainly there's a lot of ramifications to that across the talent lifecycle. Sure. And then again, how do we make sure that the people are ready? It's one thing for an organization to say, "Hey, we've got, look at our beautiful AI strategy," but you haven't actually communicated and educated everyone about what that even means and what the impact is, to them, when in fact you should have been building that with them and showing them what is in it for them. And so, so that is kind of where I am. And then I've launched the podcast, Elevate Your AIQ, on the Work-Defined Network last summer. So we're approaching 100 episodes. So wow. It's going very well. I love it. Get a lot of great feedback. And just basically bring on anyone. I don't really care about people's titles. it's more about, are you having, for you and your organization or whatever entity that you're working with, are you having a positive impact to move us forward, to educate people, get them ready for what's coming,
Right.
to understand what it means across, skills, tools, your mindset. You have a learning and growth mindset to understand and maintain your own agency as you're, ironically building agents. Maintain your own agency and control over your career trajectory, even if that means taking some off ramps and having a more a portfolio career, or having just in general a more sort of lattice than ladder kind of professional development.
Well, I definitely see a crossover episode here where Dwight and I talk, hopefully on your show, about how we're trying to influence the world of compensation and HR by adopting AI tools in a responsible way. So
there you go.
Hopefully we can put that bug in the right person's ear. Oh, it's you.
Yeah, I think I know someone who could help with that.
You do? Do you know the
I
boss?
think I know a guy.
Yeah, perfect.
But Bob, one fun thing that no one knows about Bob Pulver.
That I'm a hoarder, that I'm a physical and digital hoarder. I mean, if you ever need a PDF from 2004, I probably have it. I have all the
Really?
I have all the like Gartner decks, and I have all the McKinsey papers or whatever. Because I felt like,
I think you're going to be able to come back like 20 years from then and go, "Wow, you guys were wrong."
So part of it was, keeping my own little time capsule of, like, I wonder if any of these prognostications and any of these, big dollar, consultants were actually right, or whether they're just, spitballing like the rest of us. Some of it, I honestly thought that someday AI would be capable enough to go through all of that in an instant and pull up, and some meaningful, stats, or I don't know. I don't really know. I'm not great at remembering. You guys may appreciate this. Like, I'm not great at remembering like everything that I read. And I feel like, I don't know. I guess I just feel like if it's there, then I can always reference it again.
Why bother?
I was going to say, you don't remember what you read. I've got the problem of just not remembering anything.
Well, and by the way, Bob, you had mentioned you're a hoarder, offline and online. What do you hoard offline?
Well,
I see the books behind you.
Yeah, no, I've definitely been collecting books. I can't say I've gone through any of those, to be honest. It's not
good.
Well, I'm not a hoarder like I would be on one of those shows, right? Like where you can't even walk through the room. Everything is, confined to, closets, and I've got my own system. What was that movie? It's like,
if we open the closet, everything gonna fall out on us.
And Tommy Boy, his love interest is like, I don't need file cabinets. And then I got to open them. Like I got my own system. I got my own system.
Yeah.
You ask me where something is, and I'll go find it in a one of two or three places. So the house looks really neat. But if you were to open some closet doors or walk through the garage, you'd be like, "Oof, Bob, what is going on here?"
Taking your life in your own hands, it could.
Yeah.
And as far as digital hoarder,
as far as digital hoarding goes, what I pictured is like Tron, where you can't get on the motorcycle because there's no room for it.
Yeah, it's more like I didn't properly label a lot of like my external, hard drives and my flash drives, but I dumped it all into Backblaze, so it's there if I ever need it. But you know what? One bad habit was, just to make it worse, is I used to make sure that I had everything backed, especially like my photos, my digital photos. Sure. I take pictures of everything.
Yeah.
But like my photos were automatically backed up to, well, now that I switched to Apple a couple of years ago, I have iCloud, but I still cling to most of my library for most of my life was digital library anyway. Was in Google, so everything was still if I open Google Photos on my phone, everything also gets backed up there. But then I also have Backblaze backing up everything, all my external drives and my internal drives. And I think I might still have a Dropbox account, and I can't remember. So basically, I have like
remember your login, but you got the account.
Not only do I have like thousands of digital photos, but I probably have like 5 copies of each.
Yeah, Bob, we need to call the hoarders on you, and they're going to run a dupes. There's a couple of great programs that do deduping. Yeah, sorry, Bob.
If they can look across 20 different sources, then that'd be great.
Platforms.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're causing the digital revolution to slow down because half of AWS is Bob Pulver stuff.
You know what's funny? Like I feel like we were talking about the People Analytics World conference before. Some of the vendors that were there. I mean, that's what they do for HR data. That's what they do, right? They pull data from all these disparate sources and they pull it into one and they make sense of it. You can do dynamic, dashboarding or ask natural language questions through, an AI assistant kind of interface. If I could take one of those and repurpose it for my own sort of digital life, I would really have something special there.
I think your own training set for an AI platform.
I think we could actually have an episode on that, and we're going to call it "Deduping Bob's Life."
There you go.
And we'll just call it the Pulver Lake, and dump all of these things into it.
Lake Pulver.
Lake Pulver. Yeah,
nice.
Which is a great transition to our topic for today. We're going to be talking about responsible innovation. Coming from the man who is a data hoarder, and his definition and breakdown and why it's much more important than ever.
Hi, this is Stacey Harris.
And this is Terry Zipper, and we're the host of the 2 podcasts under the HR Huddle.
On Spilling the Tea on HR Tech, we uncover the latest trends, truths, and challenges from Sapient Insight Group's groundbreaking research and our analyst insights, serving up everything you need to know about HR tech with no sugarcoating.
And on HR, we have a problem. We tackle the toughest workplace challenges head on, offering you expert advice and actionable solutions to help HR leaders thrive in today's fast-changing world. Whether you want the scoop on tech or tools to solve people problems, we've got you covered.
Take a listen and subscribe. If you want to become part of our community, we'd love to see you.
And so our first question, Bob, is what do you mean by responsible, and how could it possibly relate to human centricity as well as other social and economic and environmental factors?
Great question. So responsible AI is a term that's getting thrown around a lot. And it does have meaning. So when I say responsible AI, it's capital R in responsible. Yeah. And so what that generally means to the market that we all know and love is that you've got to think about risk mitigation and adverse impact. So fairness in decision making. An algorithm needs to be explainable. It should be transparent in terms of where the provenance of the data, how it was trained. Up to a point, right, without giving away your special sauce or what have you. But you've got to, if we're going to use an algorithm as part of a decision making process, you can't just trust that algorithm. Oh, that sounds good, right? That sounds right. Let's go with that. Right. You've got to understand, how it took different elements and attributes and data points into account, and you can prove that again, it's sort of mitigating, bias where we can find it and things like that. Mm-hmm. Privacy and cybersecurity are elements of responsible AI as well. Think of it as a collection of sort of attributes that are expected when you implement new policies and processes and things like that. And so if you're a vendor, you need to think about these things by design. So make sure your developers, your product managers, and everyone who's actually involved in the construction and the testing of these solutions, that they're keeping all of these things in mind, if not actually, monitoring for it throughout the process, so that when it gets when you go through evaluations of the solution, you can identify those things before they move into production.
Don't you think though, Bob, with the like we did when we were dealing with data scientists and people analytics, don't you think there's a need to go through the scientific method of the hypothesis testing and documentation, where all of these things are open, all of these things are reproducible, because it's not just about the secret sauce anymore. It's about making sure that everything you just said is above board, and the less black boxian it becomes and the more open it becomes, the more trusting it can be. Just like the artificial intelligence that was used for facial recognition, which had a bias against certain people of color because they weren't in the training set,
Yeah, no, I think you need to, everything around building with AI is sort of additive to, what we've done in the past. If you were hopefully, developing these things, in an appropriate manner, and that you are a trusted vendor as a result of that. But I think, so yeah, I mean, short answer is yes. I think you do need to keep those principles in mind. But I also think that, so when I think about these things, it's not, of course, it's not just the people, building, the vendors, building these solutions, because everyone's a builder now, right? Anyone can go on, Replit or Make or Lovable or whatever, and into Google
Base 44
Agent Studio. Yeah, exactly. So you can go into any of these and just, whip up a website or an app or whatever, but the data that you feed it is obviously critically important, and how thoroughly you evaluate. What's tricky about the evaluations with AI solutions is not the same as it was with traditional software. When you have traditional software, there's only so many things that a user can do, right? You can click these buttons, you can hit these drop downs, you can do these things. But when you have an open-ended solution for user interaction, where AI is the UI. I mean, you're like sort of talking and interacting directly with it. You have no idea what someone's going to say.
Well, unless you lock it down.
Even if you lock it down, there's still the unpredictability and the replicability of the same answer. You can ask the exact same question in two different chats on ChatGPT and get totally different answers for that. And so it makes that makes it more challenging to be able to lock it down. I mean, if in your training set, yes, for the responsible side, but there's also that unpredictability that, like you were saying, Bob, piece of software, you're going to get that predictability. You know exactly if you input one thing, what you're going to get, and you're going to be able to replicate it. But the AI environment is different from that, and I think that adds a level of complexity.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't built anything myself that was like moved into production in that way, but I've certainly taken courses where we did build our own agents, and we did go through some evaluations. But it just seems like the evaluations it's sort of never ending, right? Like I can change how I say the same thing. I could say it in a different way, or I could use a different tone. And people get into these conversations about, oh, you got to be nice to it, or no, you actually get better results if you're mean to it. What is going on here? So, I mean, we laugh about it now, and we're definitely going to be laughing about these kinds of things in a year from now. But it just seems like it does get a little bit more complicated, but it also means that there's a lot more sensitivity to what we're building, and putting out there. And so I just think we're all, I say this all the time, like we're all responsible for responsible AI, whatever your role is. You're interacting with it in some fashion. You're either using it or abusing it, or or you're building it, or you're testing it, or I just think that everyone needs to think about what they're putting into it, thinking about how it might have been built, how much can I trust it, and not outsourcing my critical thinking and my decision making sort of agency to this seemingly intelligent tool that is really just making predictions and just trying to interpret what you're looking for, and it's doing a very good job of exhibiting signs of intelligence and reasoning and things like that. But that doesn't mean that we should just be on autopilot ourselves. I mean, it just seems like we're almost acting robotic by just listening to whatever it tells us, right? It's like kind of ironic.
But I think that mirrors some of what's going on in society, doesn't it, Bob? I mean, we are, as a people, we are falling prey to, whether it's deep fakes or social media or media, and some of the biases that are endemic in all of those things, not to be political or to take any one side, but we are kind of ceding our intelligence to other things and allowing ourselves to be swayed instead of being convinced. As a humankind right now, we're kind of failing in our ability to really clearly understand what agency is for ourselves, and not ceding agency is very difficult these days.
Yeah, I mean, these are challenging, issues while everyone's trying to get their normal, work done and live their lives. But I think what ties to your point, David, is most of what's out there on the internet now is AI generated. We've passed that that threshold. Like the graph has flipped, right? So now it's just sort of ingesting its own content, right? And so it's actually, if we don't keep our eyes on it and have the right guardrails, it's going to become less trustworthy, not more.
If it hasn't already.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the funny part is that it masks so well. You put a prompt into ChatGPT, and the first thing you see is, "That's a wonderful question."
Right, exactly.
It strokes our ego, and so we start to think, "Oh, this must be the truth."
That is that in itself is problematic, Dwight. That came up on a call I was on earlier today. I mean, it's almost like you said before, like you could have two windows of ChatGPT open and get a different answer. But if you put the same question into different AI assistants, you'll get very different answers and different levels of sycophantic sort of responses.
Right.
Like Claude and maybe Gemini and others are not as sycophantic as ChatGPT. South Park did a great episode on that.
Do you feel like part of responsible AI is actually educating yourself on the training sets that are used for the different platforms? Is that even possible?
I think it's important to know at least where its data is sourced from. Like you should be concerned if OpenAI or Perplexity or Anthropic, if they're getting sued for copyright infringement because they ingested the entire New York Times, archive or whatever. Like that's not a great look, and it's concerning. At the same time, if you trust their reporting, there are worse sources to get information from, right? Like Reddit or some peanut gallery
or Facebook.
Yeah. I think you should be in general aware, just like I don't know. I mean, 20 years ago, did people ask or care where Google got its information from. I mean,
Right.
I don't know. It was really at the mercy of the trustworthiness of all the sites that were, Google
Mhm.
indexed by Google.
Index, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think you should ask those basic questions. I don't expect people to go and interrogate and turn
Right.
into a private investigator of their own to research it. I mean, people just want, there's an immediacy with everything that people want and have wanted since the internet and social media, gave us that instant
Right.
gratification. So people, speed is a powerful thing. And speed combined with an answer that sounds good enough is usually where people stop, unfortunately. Just like they stop after the first page or two of Google results. There's a lot of trust that that the best results, that exactly what I'm looking for, are on the first page or two.
That's why I was saying that people cede control to, these sound bites and these social media talking heads who, that's what it's kind of almost stoking what they already believe. So it kind of blends their pre-beliefs into what they're listening to, and it kind of solidifies that opinion. So
yeah.
Enjoying the conversation? Don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode packed with insights and strategies. Now, let's dive back in. Let's move on to the second question, though, because Bob, I think we're gonna have fun with this one. How do you unpack what innovation is these days, including the innovation lifecycle, crowdsourcing, collective intelligence, human AI collaboration, and what the hell's co-intelligence?
So where do I start here? Let me just, I'll wrap up the prior one and bleed it into the next one.
Okay.
So responsible innovation, I feel like is playing both defense and offense, right? Responsibility is let's mitigate this risk. Let's make sure we're making fair decisions. Let's be, human, we can be AI, first, or AI driven, or whatever phrase you want to use. But we still need to stay, human centric. That is related to a lot of the elements of responsible AI, maintaining people's privacy, making fair decisions about anything that relates to their lives or livelihoods. And so innovation is sort of the flip side of that says, okay, responsibility is sort of playing defense and innovation is kind of playing offense. Now, that's not to say that innovation can't happen inside an organization where we look for, cost savings and cost avoidance, opportunities, efficiency gains. Where can we save money to then potentially reinvest that elsewhere? And once you start that reinvestment conversation, or you're using innovation in terms of driving growth opportunities, whether that's entering new markets, building a new business model, new partnerships, building new products and services, all of those things are fine. But if you believe that, and I'm not saying AI is the answer for everything, but if you believe that AI can empower the workforce and the organization to do more than they could do without AI, whether that's in the decision-making process or helping you get to market, faster, or whatever, then you still have to do that in a responsible way, right? So just like over the last couple of decades, we had a lot of regulation around, data privacy. We had a lot of regulation and concerns around cybersecurity, but those things have sort of become part of business as usual now. They are just the underpinnings of all these things that we do. And even then, there were arguments that said, well, we don't want all these regulations. It's just going to slow us down. It's going to slow down innovation, whatever. And it's like, oh, what do you know? We got through that, and here we are. We're still innovating in those spaces and beyond with those things as underpinning. So you can't build stuff now without taking those things into account. Well, the same thing needs to happen with AI. So if you're going to build with or without AI, if you're going to build things, then build them right the first time, and then you don't have to go back and fix everything and dig everything up again and redo all the plumbing and the infrastructure to accommodate this. Just do it right the first time. And these days, doing it right means having this foundation that you're building things with the observability, with the transparency, with the explainability, and all those elements of responsible AI. They're now baked into everything that you might build. So if it's a product or service, then you literally build that into your evaluations and how you actually design and architect the solutions. If it's designing new experiences or a new business model, new market, then you need to understand the human side and the human centricity elements of that. Well, what does this mean for partners in this region? What does this mean for the experiences of candidates, recruiters, employees,
right.
Whoever the stakeholders are? So, and David, you mentioned innovation management. I just feel like that's how you start a sort of responsible innovation funnel of opportunities. And you have to backtrack and say, well, we really had to get to market first because we knew our top competitor was building something, and we had to get it out there and what have you. And we'll fix it later.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't know. Isn't there an old adage like if you don't have time to do it right, when are you gonna have time to do it again? Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I just feel like we're at that stage, and there's no like if I won the lottery on Friday night, I would probably start some kind of incubator or accelerator program, and I would make sure that I have AI literacy courses at the beginning, so everyone is building stuff the right way, and then I don't have to. And then I've already sort of pre-mitigated the risk that I might otherwise incur if I just am enthralled by the shiny object that these guys are building. It looked like they had a pretty decent moat. Maybe there's a good return, and this seems like a good bet. But then they get hit with some lawsuit in the EU, or they get fined 5-6 figures a day by being out of compliance with like whatever. I mean, right. just do it right. Just do it right from the beginning.
But I think those goalposts are moving a little bit on us often, whether it's the EU, whether it's the US, whether it's the states, because all of those three things, the federal government in the US, forget about, they're not going to make any regulation about this anytime soon. Yep. They can't even get their budget together. But the EU and the states definitely have their crap together, and they are regulating this stuff. And to some extent for good reason, because left on their own devices, companies will be, I don't want to say something disparaging, but they'll be lazy about it. Like the whole thing with not configuring Workday to have a different algorithm for your recruitment teams. I think that was laziness.
Yeah. Well, you also have a problem where some of this legislation isn't the most enforceable. Right. In New York City, mm-hmm. in my backyard is one of those examples, right? Like people, that legislation sort of came and went with a kind of a whimper, and nobody was really like I think they just hedged their bets and said, look, I don't know why they would come after us, specifically, but I don't even know if the fines were clear. I don't know if it was really enforceable. Right. But that's not to say that there's not legislation in other states or municipalities right. that might have more teeth. Right. But I also think that
California's good about that, Bob.
Yeah.
About building regulations that have teeth.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think right now legislation is a patchwork, but that doesn't mean we can't hold each other accountable. Right. So the concept of responsible AI should, and just thinking about the talent technology ecosystem itself. I mean, your whole sort of talent supply chain and your whole ecosystem is dependent on everybody, sort of being responsible in a way. Because once you start integrating all these systems, and maybe there's agents talking to each other across all these systems, like there's going to be a lot of finger pointing unless we figure out how to have the traceability to know where is the actual source of this adverse impact, right? And so these are things that we need to think about. But the best way again is to proactively start asking vendors these tougher questions around. Talk to me about your models. You can't just bolt this thing on and rest on your laurels that you had this. Well, in 2023 we had this amazing reputation. Well, now we're an AI. Now we're an AI company,
right?
And we've got all this AI stuff on top of all the stuff that you're familiar with,
right?
And we put this, we put these toppings on your sundae, and now I don't know, if I'm allergic to them.
But to be honest with you, a lot of companies have just bolted on that stuff.
Sure.
And that's why I'm saying that. I think they've been a bit lazy about it and not asking the appropriate questions or not being responsible about it. And that's why some of them are now parties to this suit, with Workday.
Yeah.
Has anything ever happened with that? I thought justice was swift. I thought things would go quickly with that.
In what world?
I think they're still gathering evidence.
They're going to be gathering evidence for decades, man.
There's
they got a lot of customers, but
everything's got a freaking audit trail a mile long.
Yeah.
Maybe they should use AI to gather.
Yeah, we'll hire Bob to do that.
Right. That'll keep me busy for sure.
So, Bob, I don't actually know if we got through the second question yet, because I know you were pulling on a lot of threads from the first one, but there's a lot there. We might actually have that be one entire episode. And Dwight and I do this all the time, Bob. We get into these conversations about artificial intelligence, and because it is now becoming the raison d'être, I guess as you call it, it is becoming the thing we have to deal with.
Right.
Have to.
Yeah.
That every conversation we have has to go multiple episodes, because there's no way to unpack this shit in less than 40 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just not possible.
Which is a good thing. I mean,
it is a good thing.
No, there's a lot. So on the innovation side, I mean, I just think that as people think about how to do things better, so I'm not talking about this incremental stuff. Oh, look at how much more productive our employees are, and the efficiency stuff, whatever. A lot of that is really automation, not AI. I'm looking for the higher value stuff. Like, what are people going to do when you've freed up some of their time to go do more important work? What are the things that have been that you haven't invested in because you just ran out of budget or bandwidth or whatever? Like, what are you going to do now? If you assume that within a year, 18 months, that you're 20-25% more efficient, the average employee has a day of the week back, what do you want them to do? How are you going to reinvest that? And if you teach them what AI is capable of, and are aware of how they might be learning some of these, skills and have these ideas on their own. I mean, everybody's got ideas. The question is, how good are they? Where do multiple people's ideas, complement each other? So you build one, stronger, idea. How do you use getting to the collective intelligence piece? Part of the innovation lifecycle is vetting, ideas, and so you need people to vet ideas. Is this good or bad? And poke holes in it and go through, your SWOT analysis or whatever. And then you need to build a team. So I need to crowdsource the availability. Now I need to find a team to pull together with these diverse skills across technical and non-technical, disciplines. Do these people work well together? And then how do we move them forward? And then I need to, I could use AI to, help strengthen the business case. And then I need to use AI to help matchmake to potential investors or sponsors of the idea. And then I need to, use. So there's every step of the innovation lifecycle. You can now use both the collective intelligence of a knowledgeable, crowd, as well as, and then augment that with artificial intelligence, which can act as, it can act as the VC, it can act as the, the angel investor. It can act as a competitor. It can role play in all kinds of ways, so that you come out of this with a stronger product in a shorter amount of time. It doesn't have to be a product, but you know what I mean. I mean, whatever it is that you're trying to build and or reinvent or what have you. I mean, that's the kind of mindset in general that we need people to think about, because your job is going. Chances are your job is going to change, unless you're mostly blue collar and you're out in the field and what have you. Even that, you're going to have to learn some new things. Just like my HVAC guy shows up and he's got a tablet and he's got some new equipment of his own and whatever. Even if it's back office stuff, the AI it's somewhere in the picture. And so, but for knowledge workers, it very much is affecting your role going forward, whether you're working from home or you're in the office or what have you. And so everyone's going to start to think, well, I wonder if I could do this, I wonder if I could do that. So some of these are going to be incremental, innovations. Can it help me? And we see that all the time now in recruiting or whatever, right? Can it help me write this job description? Can it help me, coalesce, all this information for my performance management reviews, or like whatever the scenario is. And so I just think that AI is now like your sort of innovation, not trying to say it in a Microsoft way, but it's your sort of innovation co-pilot, right? Like you can have it
Clippy,
right? You can have it, in every step of that process, but you've got to have that foundational understanding of what AI is, what it can do, and what it should do. Not just what it can do, but what it should do, because there's a lot of nonsense out there where people are using it, not necessarily in a nefarious, underhanded, or illegal way. Yeah, certainly those people that do that. But I mean, even just people that use it in ways that they should, like basically outsourcing to an AI to just comment on people's LinkedIn posts if a word or phrase is mentioned, right? Like they're not even, they're just letting someone else participate in these conversations just to basically start to, I don't know, get sales leads or whatever it is that they're doing. But these are just like some really unscrupulous things, right? Or passing off, having AI write, more than 75% of your posts and not disclosing that you used AI to help you write it. Like that's just like, come on.
That's horseshit.
Right.
Which is a technical term. But Bob, I want to go back to one of the things you said in there, because you said a lot of things that I loved. One of them, though, I want to ask you a stupid question about. Why don't we use AI to help us get to a stage where we can have a 4-day work week? Because knowledge workers, there's really no end to our work. It's not like we just work 5 days. We work all the time.
Yeah.
And as an exempt employee, there's an expectation you're just going to get it all done. Well, what does it mean? These days, it means beyond the 9 to 5. So one of the things I'd love to see, and I challenge everybody, is find a way to live a better life. Not live to work to live. And then be able to get all your work done within 4 days so you can enjoy more of your life. Because we only have a finite time on this earth. Whether we like it or not, we do. And if we're not innovating to live better, then what the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
We're not all owners of companies that get to live the profit cycle and then enjoy everything from everything we do.
Yeah.
Okay, there's some of us that do. But
yeah, I mean, this is a long topic unto itself. But I mean, I think organizations are grappling with this now, right? Like if you get 20% efficiency gains across the board, hypothetically, what do you do with that? Do you give people 20% more work? Do you give them the day, Fridays, whatever day they want back? If you do that, do you pay them 100% or do you pay them 80%? Are we, part of the challenge of getting paid for, well, it depends if you're exempt or not, to your point, David. So if you're exempt, then you're technically just, this is what they're paying for you and access to you, as opposed to paying for you to work 40 hours. as examples. So yeah, I mean, I think every culture of an organization is going to determine, how that savings is reinvested. I mean, ideally, we at least have the conversation through this human-centric lens, that you involve people to understand how they're feeling about this, that you're not making this decision in isolation. But what would that do? How would people react in terms of their discretionary effort if you actually gave them that opportunity? We're going to continue to pay you as we always have, and then maybe they expect you on that fifth day to spend a couple hours, take half of it and go be with your family or whatever, and half of it, like, we expect you to learn a new skill and bring it back to your team. I don't know. There's a lot of different.
Bob, we've had the same conversation, and I've lived through these conversations before about, and I swear to God, about casual Fridays.
Yeah.
I've had this conversation before about casual Fridays. If you allow them to wear jeans on Friday, they're going to want to wear jeans every day. I've literally had these conversations with leaders of businesses. If you allow them to take all of their vacation time, then they're going to get lazy. I've had stupid conversations about this. To me, it's not about, and I think the pandemic changed things, because it's not about trusting employees to do it the right thing. It's about employers trusting employees to be, or I'll use a technical term, menches, and actually get done what they have to get done, what they've been paid to do. And there have been experiments for 4-day work weeks, and they've worked out fine because employees feel just phenomenal about it. They still get their shit done. Hey, listen, when we lay a bunch of people off, we don't go, by the way, your job's not going to change at all. No, it's absorb their shit that they did. You do it. And we've had to swallow that shit for the last 20-something years.
Yeah.
By the way, we're going to need an explicit rating this time, Dwight.
Yeah, I was noticing that.
So, David, what about Hawaiian Shirt Day? Does that have any impact?
Well, Hawaiian Punch Day might, but I don't know about Hawaiian Shirt Day. But that, Bob, that's the problem, is that you can literally ask leaders a question, and it's their own cultural bias that comes into it, not fact. They don't come up with facts. It's all whatever they grew up with or whatever they lived through that they bring through, whether they went to Wharton or went to, PS 31 in the Bronx, if that's a real school.
I think we're going to see more of what we're currently seeing. Think of all the layoffs in the last couple of weeks and attribution to AI as a causal factor with them. And
so they say.
Ultimately, I think, so they say. Yeah, exactly. I think, and that's a real good point, because it's a convenient excuse, I think.
I think it depends on the role. I just got into a debate with someone earlier today about this. I think it depends on the role. If you're in a role where the majority of your tasks are somewhat routine and robotic, then your days are numbered. I'm sorry. You need to start thinking about what else you could be doing, or how to, move up the sort of value chain in your team or whatever. But for more variable work, analysts and other roles where you're doing a lot of thinking and there's a lot of coordination and meetings or whatever. I don't mean coordination like that an AI agent could do, but just higher order of thought kinds of things, decision making and critical thinking and stuff like that. Like you really need an advanced like agentic system that's managing that workflow that has been very thoroughly trained to understand nuances and maybe even do some exception handling or whatever. I mean, still I'm not saying humans completely go away, but for those kinds of roles, most organizations, like 95 or more % of organizations, are just not at that level of maturity. So when they say AI is taking their job, that could very easily be, we've automated 40% plus the cost cutting that we needed to do to free up resources or whatever. This is the decision that we're making. But I mean, I think they're using AI very loosely in terms of specific technology that's being deployed, as well as using it in a sort of nebulous way in terms of the direct factor versus a somewhat indirect factors. So I think there's a lot of nuance underneath the headlines.
I want to tell you that I don't believe any of that. No offense. I'm not saying you. I don't believe any of the bullshit when they come out and say they're reducing staff based on that. It's not there yet. It's not there yet. It's convenient.
It's a convenience. Yeah.
And so I think when we start our next podcast episode, Bob, on this, we can talk about the statistics of how many jobs have been lost based on this, and talk about the purity of it's just absurdity that kind of productivity can be gained through AI in this time frame. But let's start that off next time. Bob, I got to tell you, it's such a pleasure to have someone who's a geek like us, who we can totally geek out with on this stuff and talk for almost an hour.
Yeah, no, this was fun.
We'll have you back very shortly. In fact, we'll have to schedule the version 2 of this so that we can serialize this, because our listeners are going to want to hear the end, because it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
So, Bob, thank you very much. We're going to have links to Elevate Your AIQ on the show notes, and we'll have links to it in the podcast listing, so that any of you who want to listen to more of what Bob has to say, you can do so on his podcast as well.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Bob, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, appreciate it. This is great.
Thank you, Dwight.
Thank you. It's great. Looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, we have to schedule that like right now. We got to get that round 2 right now. All right. Thank you, everybody. Take care and stay safe. Thank you for listening to the HR Data Labs podcast. Don't forget to hit subscribe and share it with your network. Also, check out the HR Data Labs Brown Bag Lunch every Friday on LinkedIn. You can also check out the recordings on Spotify. Thank you, take care, and stay safe.